What's up, guys? Chad of Grandpa of Adler Farms.
That's it.
Is that right?
You gotta throw
Chad
it
and
in.
Grandpa of Adler Farms. I don't know who thought of that mouthful.
I think I've shortened it up to Grandpa Adler Farms.
Grandpa Adler Farms.
Yeah, I forget the I
You guys know we are of Adler Farms, but we actually had some requests on my channel to show off this tractor, and it's not my tractor. I just take the keys and run around on it when the weather's warm and then return it on E.
Yeah,
That's what I do with it.
Well, it's on F right now.
It's on F right now, so we're good. This is Grandma and Grandpa's tractor. You guys have really wanted to see this, and I don't know enough about it to share about it, so that's why it's on Grandpa's channel. What I'm gonna do is, instead of doing a cubic inches, I mean, he knows the horsepower, he knows everything.
I researched all the specifications. And
to overly researched.
Yeah, and it wasn't the numbers that I was as interested in as our acreage and for my the jobs I need to do.
Because you have 5 acres.
At 5 acres.
And you've cleared how much?
I probably...
It's an acre and a half?
I'd say 2 acres. You know, acre and a half, 2 acres.
So the rest of it is...
It's all wooded. So I have no plans. We wanted to be surrounded by the woods. I'm not going to clear anything out. This is it.
On another note that we'll touch on here in a second, we wanted to make sure we had something that you get into the woods with.
Oh, yeah.
That was a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
What can I take into the woods that's not too big, but can still get the job done?
It's a Kubota BX1880. It is the smallest compact tractor that Kubota makes. This is the 18 horsepower. Then they have a 23 and a 26.
So is it considered a sub?
This is a sub compact tractor.
And it comes like this standard. It came with the bucket?
Comes with the bucket and the tractor. I bought the box blade extra, and over here on the floor, I also bought a 54-inch mower deck.
But we'll get back to the mower deck in a second.
Back to the mower deck in a second.
Because you got mixed feelings.
Okay. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about the mower deck.
But we don't want to get him off subject because he really has mixed feelings about the mower deck.
Yeah, I'll be all over the map.
But we'll hit it in a second.
So why did I just buy the 18 horsepower, not the 23 or not a 30 horsepower?
Or a 50 for that matter.
Or a 50 for that matter. I'm a man. Always, the more, the bigger. I'm the Tim Allen. More power. With more power and bigger comes more money. Even though you may have the money to spend on a bigger tractor, it may not be the best one for you. So part of the reason for getting this one, I wanted 2 things because I have rented tractors before. I wanted the bucket, which it came with the bucket. They're all pretty much priced with the bucket. One that would run the box blade attachment. We have a very long base rock driveway, and I knew that we'd have to smooth that out. I also needed a box blade because we need to pick up a lot of rocks in the yard, doing the yard over the last year or so since we've been moved in. This tractor will do all of that at the 18 horsepower. The only time you lose horsepower is if you attach something to the back like a brush hog that you'll need the PTO for. I don't plan on doing any of that. I'm not going to run a brush hog. This is it. I'm only going to pull. This one will not do a backhoe. The next one up, the 2380, will do a backhoe. Don't need a backhoe.
And your backhoe, for somebody who's non-tractor, the backhoe is the digger on the back.
Yeah, the digger on the back. And I didn't need that on this one. Lifting capacity and power of this is just like the next one up, so you don't lose anything.
So if you go from, this is how many horsepower?
18 horsepower.
So if you go from 18 to
23,
this doesn't change.
that doesn't change.
That was a big reason.
Same load.
You can get the bigger one. You can buy the bigger one, and you got the money for the bigger one. But if you step up, you'd have to step up 2 different models.
No, just go one more. 18 horsepower to a 23. 18, 23, 26.
And is the 23 still a sub?
23 is still a sub.
Okay.
It's still a subcompact. So other than the capability of maybe running a backhoe or something else, maybe a post hole digger or something like that, this will do everything you want it to do. The same seat, the same controls, same dashboard up here. The wheels, the tires, I believe the tires on the next one up, I'm sure, are 2 inches bigger in diameter. Since I'm not going to use any of these implements that require more horsepower, the 18 was perfect for us.
It made sense.
And it did not make any sense to spend the extra, I don't know at the time, $2,000 to $3,000 just for 5 more horsepower, because 5 more horsepower doesn't really
It doesn't change your bucket.
doesn't change your bucket capacity, and doesn't change the power that much at all.
Well, and since you're not going to run a brush hog, but you opted, how much was the belly deck, even though you got mixed feelings?
Belly deck was $1,700.
So for $1,700, you can get the belly deck mower. And despite Grandpa's situation and why he chose this, we're just showing you guys what's out there. The belly deck mower was $1,700, but stepping up to a 23 was an extra $2 or $3 grand.
Oh yeah, it was going to be.
And the only thing that changed was the ability to,
if you had to do an attachment that required the horsepower of the engine to run it.
gotcha. So it just wasn't cost efficient.
No, this does not lose any horsepower when you put that,
Correct.
that mower on there. But if I put an implement on here, it wouldn't run it. You'd have to go with the 23, because the 23, when you put an implement on it, drops down to about 18 horsepower. This is 18 horsepower.
So it's kind of a wash.
Yeah, it's kind of a wash. You know what? I have to take that back. There are some implements you can put on here, and it drops down to a 14 horsepower. I'm not interested in any other implements, so that was not a concern of mine. Do you have a specific task, or is this something you want to use it on down the road?
When they were looking at this, he would text my brothers and I and show us what he was getting and what he was sitting on and what he's looking at. But you actually brought this home and used it for a little bit and thought about going back and getting the bigger one. You actually did. You went and sat on it.
Went and sat on, talked to him about it, and said, "Hey, can I upgrade this? Why would I go from an 18 to a 23? How would, to gain anything at all, any significant difference, I'd have to go from an 18 to a 30. And the question was this: if you go to a 30, what are you going to be doing with that tractor 2 years from now? Get your yard done, when all you have to do is go out a couple of times a year and do your base rock, and all you're doing is hauling firewood around or rocks. What's it going to be like in 3 or 4 years for the extra expense and the 30 horsepower? It's really not going to get you a whole lot more, but maybe a wider bucket and a wider box blade. I gave it a second, not a minute, and I thought, I'm not going to be doing it anymore. This thing could sit, other than mowing the lawn. So that's why I talked myself out, and they also gave me some good advice. Decided not to go with bigger, and I got that out. But I had to know, did I make the right decision? I had a little bit of not buyer's remorse, buyer's regret, whatever you want to call it. I am totally satisfied with this one because it has done everything that I have needed it to do. In my research and other YouTube videos, this one just turned out best for me. So before you go buy your tractor, here's what I want you to think about. What am I going to do with it now? What am I going to do with it 2 years from now? What are my projects? Am I going to grow my yard? Am I going to cut more woods out of the forest? Am I just going to do base rock? Moving? Am I going to haul dirt, spread dirt around? This 18 horsepower has so much power. I've never had this thing at full capacity and acceleration and power that I've needed to. I have not worked this thing to super hard yet, and it does everything. I've moved, I don't know how many loads of dirt, base rock. I've smoothed out my driveway. I've moved firewood with it. I have pushed more rocks and sticks and trees back into the woods that it has amazed me at how much work I can get done with this. And stepping up to another tractor wouldn't have helped me at all.
Here's the deal, and we'll get to the belly deck. I know, stay with us, okay? I know some of y'all really want to know his thoughts on that, because I'm actually going to put him on the spot and actually ask him what he likes and doesn't like. First off, Kubota does not know who we are. They have no idea who Adler Farms is. These are just honest thoughts. I do want to mention because I don't know anything about tractors. I've rented some. I know when I rent one, they tell me this is what it takes, this is what you do, but this is a diesel.
Yes.
And all subcompact tractors from Kubota.
Right.
So whichever one you buy, it's all diesel. You'd have to step down to like a mower to get it. So I just wanted to clarify, it is a diesel. If anybody's out there and you're like, man, I just don't want to mess with diesel, everything I own is fuel, gasoline, I just wanted to clarify that.
There's something else you can do. If you have a project that your tractor will not do, because Chad did it first, I saw how easily he did it, and then I did it. If you've got a big project, if I wanted to go into the woods and I wanted to move trees around, I need something with more horsepower, rather than buy a tractor that was way too big just to do that, we rented a skid steer twice.
And the second one was actually
The second one was a
Kubota.
65 horsepower Kubota skid steer. For a weekend, it cost us under $400.
But we had it for almost 48 hours.
48 hours.
Now that is gonna vary depending on where you live. the rental rate. But for less than $500.
Right, right. And so that's just a one-time deal instead of paying the extra money for a bigger tractor with something you may or may not do. Well, my recommendation is this: if you get a tractor like this just to do what you want to do and you need something bigger done, go rent the tractor, rent a skid steer, or rent it, even if you need to rent a bigger tractor. Go do that and save yourself the money. And driving a skid steer is a lot of fun. I had a ball with that skid steer, and anybody, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
And I will say too that we're not just touting that Kubota skid steer. Because we won't get into brands again. We're not sponsored, but I rented a skid steer 2 weeks before that, and it was good. But and I know wear and tear could have made this happen, but it was very, very rough. We both got out with bruises on our arms, bruises on your back hurt.
Shook my head.
Then we got that Kubota. Now the Kubota was like 65
horsepower.
I think it was like 65 horsepower. So maybe it was just more up to the task of what we were. But we're not big crane. We're not big equipment operators.
That's the first time.
We didn't know. We just went and got a skid steer.
Right.
And that Kubota we got the second time was. I'd go get it again for a small job because it was that easy and it was easy to learn on. But the other thing too that we talked about is, and we're not trying to drop channel names or nothing like that, but there's other YouTubers out there that have kind of the same amount of land that you have. Our buddy Jason at Cog Hill.
Right.
You know, if you follow Cog Hill, you know, they had a little subcompact and then they just bought 40 acres and they stepped up to a huge tractor. But it makes perfect sense. If you have 40 acres, especially of open field, and you're going to brush hog all that, you want to get a bigger one.
Again,
it just depends on the job.
If you got that much, you're not going to buy an 18 horsepower or a 23 or even a 30. You're going to step up and get the big one.
Yeah.
That just makes sense.
And I'm friends with Jason. We're not just trying to name drop.
What's up, man?
What's up? How are you?
How are you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
What's up, buddy?
But remember, the Smiths, Jason and Brooke, they lived at their house that they have right now, and it's 7 acres. And they had that. They've lived there for 14 years and done just fine with this little tractor.
So a small one, so it'll do the job. So anyway, that's again, this is not a technical how-to video. This is a why-to video. I knew nothing about tractors before I got this one. The question is, in everybody's mind, I guarantee you walk into a dealer, unless you know for sure, you're going to say, which one do I buy? How big a tractor do I need? And that was my big question. A lot of it is not only how big, what's your budget? That's really important. You get over your head really fast and you buy this. If I'd have bought a 30 horsepower tractor, you have some serious buyer's remorse.
Well, and twice the price.
And twice the price anyway.
Which is okay if you need it.
Yeah, if you need it.
But after you did those projects like you talked about.
Honestly, now this tractor could sit for 2 or 3 weeks before I run it. But I've got more dirt to spread, and I got, once the weather gets nicer, I'm going to put it back to work. And that's the main thing. It does everything I need to do today, and it'll do everything I need to do 2 years from now or 3 years from now. I own it. It's mine, and that's about it.
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Yeah, put me on the spot.
So you want to do good or bad first?
Oh, let's do the bad.
Let's do the negative first.
Do the bad.
So they're not necessarily flaws. Let's hear the top 3 things you wish you could change. How about that? And if there's none, there's none.
Well, as this tractor sits right now, with the box, with the blade on, with the bucket, and this, there's nothing I would change.
Other than maybe a few implements, there's nothing you'd really change as it sits.
No, look at it. This, a lot of tractors, go out and look at a subcompact. They're plastic. That's metal. I can detach this, flip a couple of handles, I back straight out. This loader is sitting on the ground right here. When I get done, I pull right back in, hook it right back up, and I'm ready to go. Box blade and the loader, my 2 favorite implements. I leave this on here all the time. This is my favorite.
Because you drag your driveway with it.
I drag the driveway, I drag big rocks around. There's a yard brake you can put on here too. I am going to get one of those. Other than that, I can't think of anything else that I would even want on here for me. Again, it's all about your application. It's all about application. I mean, there are other implements you can put on here. I can't even tell you for sure. I just know that you can't do the backhoe. But you can run a brush hog. You know, there's other things that you can look at that right now. Those things, though, weren't that important to me. I wanted power. I wanted to know, you know, how much power this thing had, what would it do. You know, I'm not going to go over and push a big 16-inch tree over, but I don't need to. I want to move dirt, move base rock, pick up some firewood, and give my grandkids a ride. I'm good.
That was kind of dual purpose. That was what you like and what you don't like. But that's okay, because I wanted to, here's my thought. I knew he could just spit it out. You guys know how we are. For those that don't know though, because I don't, if I walked in and sat down, I don't know that I'd even know how to start it before he had this. We don't need to, I don't want to start it in here and fume it up, and we're not outside. There's tons of videos of people running the tractor, okay?
Right.
This was more of a, here's my thoughts on it. It is a diesel. It is a hydrostatic, correct? So let me come over there. So if you don't know what a hydrostatic is, basically it's like driving an automatic car. Now, it's not like an automatic transmission. I understand the schematics. You don't have to shift it. You don't have to.
No. Forward and reverse. That's all you do. And this is a power steering. I mean, this thing is feather light on the turn, feather light. This is your loader control. This is your box blade control. 4-wheel drive, not 4-wheel drive. Turtle speed, fast speed. That's all I do. When I hook the mower up, then it's over here. But everything's here right hand for me. The seat is comfortable. You got a safety belt, the row bar.
But, and one thing I want to mention is, you guys brought in how many loads of fill dirt, roughly?
Roughly about 80 loads of fill dirt.
And you were able to, I mean, we had bigger equipment to move that. That's 80 loads of dirt.
Yeah.
But now for filling in little things around the driveway and stuff like that, this has had no issue.
Oh, no. You know how many? I've got a load of dirt here. I've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 4 loads of dirt right now, 5 over here.
We just loaded all the
We
raised
just took a lot of dirt and put in our raised bed for our raised bed gardens. Had another load of base. You know how many loads of base rock I've had out here and spread around? I can't. They're in the double digits. And I just did that one and made a turnaround right here.
And this has had
And this
no
thing
issue.
knocks them out just like that.
Well, and it's not too cumbersome to get in and do that stuff. Because if you had the bigger tractor, it probably would be actually kind of hard to make that little turnaround right there without tearing up your driveway currently.
Right. Bigger tractor, these are extra tall doors, 8-footers. So I don't have to even take this down to get in. A standard size door, you probably couldn't get this in.
Now the skinny. Here's his thoughts on the belly mower. And again, this is straight up opinion. But like I said earlier, we've all got something we've bought that we're like, man, I love everything about this, but that thing gives me fits. Why does it give you fits?
My initial thoughts for buying the tractor, I knew it would come with a loader. I knew I'd get a box blade. I wanted to primarily, because I had quite a bit to mow, I wanted a bigger mower, so I got the 54-inch mowing deck when I bought this as a whole package deal. And it was already mounted on there when I brought it home. I didn't have much to mow with it at first because we're working on the yard. And I took it up to where Chad's farm is, and I mowed it up there, and I absolutely loved it, man. It just went through this really tall fescue grass, just great. So I brought it home. I went and bought a box blade, put the box blade on it, took it back out, and the mower, the weight of the box blade, the mower drug the mower. The mower wasn't up high enough. Took the mower off, and I watched video after video on doing it, and the person on the video, he had done it many times, made it look very simple. He was a younger fella, and he got down and he was pulling it out and jerking around on it, and I'm thinking, that doesn't look that easy. It looks like a lot of work. I came out and did the same thing he did, and it took me a lot longer to do it than him. As time goes by, if all I'm going to do is put that on there 2 or 3 times in the summer, because I want to leave my box blade on. If I have to take that off every time I use that box blade, that's going to get old. It's going to be hard to do every time.
Let's go back to the cost on that belly mower.
The $1697, almost $1,700.
And how nice of a mower, because if you guys didn't know, Dad's got, what you call it, an affinity? Dad loves lawnmowers. He loves them. So for $1,700, How cool of a lawnmower could you get?
Well, you could buy a nice, you may not get a zero turn, but you can buy a very nice lawnmower, or at least 3/4 of a very nice lawnmower for $1,700. You know, and then all you do is turn the key and hop on and take off. So for me, to attach that and unattach it and attach it back and forth, I should not have bought the belly mower. That's me personally. You're gonna leave it on all the time. Great mower, it ran great, it cut like a champ. I'm not knocking getting this thing for a mower. It's got the power to do it. For me, when I run a box blade on it and I'm doing dirt work, I don't want the belly mower on there. It's not the fault of the machine. Oh no, it's worked fantastic. But for me to get under there, I'm 62 years old. Okay, I'm in pretty good shape. But to get down there and unhook everything, and you get down there and you pull that out, and you put it over there, and then when you get done running this for an hour, and then you got to go mow once a week, and you got to bring it back, and you got to push that thing back underneath and hook that all up. I can't see myself doing that 10 years from now.
They have a drive over, which we won't get into, but you weren't wild about it for different reasons.
When I first bought the tractor, I thought I would just leave the belly mower on all the time. I didn't realize that you'd have to take that, or that I would anyway, I'd take that off whenever I did any other kind of work. I'll tell you something else about the mower I just thought of. When I'm out here and I'm using that box blade and I'm running over rocks, I mean, this tractor without the, you know, it's got quite a clearance. If that belly mower was on there, I could not use that for what it's intended to do. No way, you'd be banging on that. You'd have, for me, I'd have to take that off. It might work if I just do the base rock, but it would not work running over the big rocks. It would hang too low. That's key for me, that's key.
So anyway, I told Dad, I was like, man, let's just go out in the garage, let's knock out like a 10-minute video. So I don't know how long this video is gonna be after.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it's gonna be right now. So if you're undecided after watching this video, you probably shouldn't buy a tractor. The thing is, we're not sponsored, we're not paid, because I know how YouTube is. Somebody who knows Kubota's inside and out is gonna watch this and they're gonna have something to say about this or something to say about that, and you can just save it, because all we're gonna do is thumbs up and heart and move on. If you like Kubota, great. This is our thoughts on the Kubota BX1880, subcompact, 18 horsepower.
Right. I wish there would have been a video like this when I bought mine. What I would see is somebody out in the yard moving a load of dirt around or putting a driveway in, and most of them had, honestly, most of them had the 23 horsepower. I didn't want to go to the expense of the 23 horsepower. I'd already looked at the retail, I'd already looked at the prices before I went and got this. So what I wanted to do is make sure this would do what I wanted to do, and there were not a lot of people getting the 1880. Maybe they thought it was too small. But I'm here to tell you right now, if you're going to do what I'm doing, you know, you don't need the big one for the price difference. If it's going to come down to that, then this 1880 will do everything you need it to do.
You could have bought a bigger one. You went back to buy the bigger one.
I could have, yeah.
But in the end, it wasn't that this is $10,000 and that's $20,000. It was, this is another $10,000. I'm using random numbers here. This was another $10,000 worth of things that you may never use beyond one job.
Correct.
I say we like I help pay for it.
If you're on somewhat of a budget, even if you want to buy smart, you have to consider cost.
Well, this was efficient buying.
Yeah, I mean, this to me was a smart buy. It was a smart buy. It doesn't matter what I buy. I always want bigger. Bigger's better. Get a bigger one. You know what? Sometimes I've been burned by that. I would have had a piece of equipment sitting in a garage. Sure, would it hold its value? Probably. But it would be sitting out here, I'd be thinking, wow, I got that tractor out there, now I'm only using it, you know, maybe a couple of times a year, and I paid all that money for it. That's my thinking. And so that's why I went with the 1880, and I'm not even looking back. So that's why I bought this tractor. 1880, the 18 horsepower was plenty for me. And if you're watching my videos, you'll probably see this tractor in Chad's videos. You're going to see this tractor quite a bit. So judge for yourself. Everything that I do with it, you can do.
Thoughts?
Anyway, that's my thoughts
On the
Kubota 1880.
Yep, BX1880.
Oh, that's my thoughts on the Kubota BX1880.
Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate y'all.